Hi there, everybody, and welcome to the Art of Procurement podcast. I'm Philip Ideson.
And I'm Kelly Barner.
And all through November, we're celebrating 5 years of the Art of Procurement podcast.
And to celebrate, we're answering some of the most frequently asked questions that we have received from listeners since the podcast began with a daily 5-minute show. Today's question is, how do we make the overall value that we provide to the company measurable? The traditional KPIs are pretty straightforward, but what about the less objective or measurable ones, such as bringing innovation into the company, continuity of supplies, service level, trust, customer satisfaction, etc.? This is sort of the million-dollar question, isn't it? All year long, procurement is pushed to deliver more value, more impact, more innovation. More headcount? No, not more headcount, just more impact. Then, whether it is quarterly or annually, we sit face-to-face with finance or potentially with the whole C-suite, and they predictably say, so, you say you've saved the company X dollars. Where is it? Why can't I see procurement's impact on the bottom line? Listen, I'm not here to tell you that savings don't matter. Savings matter. It is what it is. But we all know that other things matter too. And 2020 has given us, among other things, an abundance of opportunities to prove that. In the past, many procurement teams have divided their results into quantitative and qualitative metrics, hard and soft impacts, savings and value. Here's what I suggest. How about measurable and visible? Measurable would cover all of the typical quantitative metrics. Things like savings, spend under management, changes in the size, distribution, or contribution of the supply base, etc. These are categories of performance or contribution where procurement can provide a dollar figure, a number, or a savings percentage, or just a general percentage as the answer. But there are a lot of other things that we do that, while not measurable, are absolutely visible. Or are they? Procurement has a responsibility to self-promote and self-advocate. We need to make our non-quantitative contributions visible, undeniable even. That might be by communicating them during the year, and it might be by doing a better job of tracking them and sort of turning them in at the end of the year alongside savings. Emails, company newsletters, review meetings, every one of these is an opportunity to increase visibility into what we've done. Here's a perfect example. Let's do a little exercise. Stop and think for a minute about all of the things you and or your team has done since February that made business continuity possible. Seriously, I mean this. Write them down. Go get a pen and a piece of paper. It's okay. I'll wait. All set? Perfect. So there are a lot of things about 2020 that have been sad and hard and just plain awful. But this is a gift. This is the year, and now is the time to sit down with the C-suite and say, here are the things we did in addition to delivering savings that made it possible for the lights to stay on. Procurement wants to have a top-line impact, right? Well, how many customers were going to have their demand met if procurement didn't bring in the required PPE or find a supplier that was willing to provide a service on location through a COVID spike? Exactly. I'm glad you're coming with me on this. Now, a few episodes of the podcast ago, Phil Ideson and I spoke with Arthur Pizor from Corecentric about facility services. Specifically, we talked about janitorial. He mentioned the fact that what has typically been a cost-driven services category, janitorial services, has actually become a major HR concern in the shadow of the pandemic. Will people feel safe? Will they come to work? Regardless of whether they feel safe or not, will they actually be safe? That conversation really affected me, and in every category discussion I've had since, I've actually stopped and looked for the HR angle. Guess what? Nearly everything procurement touches has an HR angle right now. I'm making the same case for procurement and company operations. You tell me, Mr. or Mrs. CEO, which of your top-line results wasn't made possible because of procurement? Did you rely upon a product, a service, A technology subscription? A logistics carrier? Fuel? Utilities? Not $1 of revenue was possible without us. And you're very welcome. It was our pleasure. Now, that's not always going to work. Next year, hopefully, things will be a little more normal, and we're not going to be able to claim that everything was because of us. But if we do our job right, and if we communicate it effectively, we will have made some inroads in 2020 and made our point that procurement is so much more than savings. The original question for today was how procurement can make our impact more measurable. As we expand beyond savings, the simple answer is we can't. Not everything can be measured, at least not in the traditional ways that we're used to. But what we can do is make our impact more visible. That way, when the question about savings and bottom line impact is asked, we can answer it and then say, and we also. Which one of this list of things would you have not had us do in order to deliver X more dollars of savings? That's what I thought. Point made. And also, you're very welcome. It was our pleasure.
I want to thank you for listening to today's podcast. All the podcasts in this series can be found at artofprocurement.com/5 years. That's the number 5. That's artofprocurement.com/5 years.